like my first name is Holiday. Nothing to lose, I already gave it all away. To the Father praise. You see that money got me fade away, leave you with pennies in a auto way. I'm out of state, on that in Model J. Me and my guy finna ride on some model way. It's how what it got, meaning without a date. They come alive, put the faith and they got away.
Lifeless living dead, no Michael Myers. Dead wrong, liar, yeah. Life looking bad, so I took my vision higher. Fire focus off of me when he came and crossed my wire. Clear off, I'm alive, no more asking who am I. My identity infinity, which means I won't expire. Truth got me going wild, if you out there in the crowd, if you feel this in your soul, so you get alive, get it?
Minor, I'm where they murk you for a couple grand. Look at the surface, the walking dead, this common land. That's why some people say they'll never trust the church again. Cause these preachers ride clean and they don't even care. What if our heart stopped? I guess this will be the later. The only thing we preach is blood of Christ, he the one that made us. I ain't got no business just when I'm rap boy, so I hate her. Come alive now, you ain't gon' have time later. Man, you ever seen a dead man walking? Every place he lay his head, it's a coffin. Deaf to the truth, blind to the light. He think he living here, never seen life. Wake up, 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 and come alive, you don't hear me. 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 Wake up.
I can jam all I want to, but end of the day, a point gotta come across. Hey everybody, good afternoon. This is your one and only Facebook Minister Eric Robinson Jr. Y'all know what it is. We finna have ourselves a heart-to-heart talk. And heart-to-heart talk will pretty much hit at home. The topic of today is self-denial, self-healing. Self-healing time. Self-denial, self-healing time. And this is one of them hit at home topics because we don't want to take time out. We first deny that we need healing. We first deny that ain't nothing wrong with us. We deny so much and knowing that there is something wrong, but we just deny it and won't address it. So that's when the self-healing comes in, which is we talking about the time we take time to actually sit back and actually heal. And part of the healing is first acknowledging there's something wrong. Let me say that again. In order to heal, I'm saying it like this. In order to heal, you have to first acknowledge there's something wrong. Because when we don't acknowledge that there is something wrong, we will never be able to heal. We will not be able to heal if we don't acknowledge there's something wrong with us. We sit back and we think, ain't nothing wrong with me, it's something wrong with them. But out of every situation that happens amongst us, what is the common denominator in that situation? Oh, that's right, that's us, that's you, that's me. We're the common denominator factor in the matter, and we refuse to acknowledge that we need to heal. We need to acknowledge something. We need to acknowledge that there's some type of healing that needs to go on in our life. Even from past hurt, present hurt, hurt from 10 years ago, hurt from 5 years ago, and we're bringing it to the now and making everybody else suffer and pay the price for what somebody else did to us long ago. Conjunction function. What's your mouth for? Don't you see? Can't you tell there's something wrong with that when we're sitting up here taking it out on everybody else that don't deserve it? Because of what somebody else did to you 5 years ago, somebody else did to us 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, but never wanted to get addressed because you want to be in your type of feelings, because we be in our feelings. Well, there's going to be two scriptures that's going to go along with this message. First scripture is coming from Psalms 147, verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. That's the self-healing part. As soon as I get to a situation, I'm going to read the scripture for the self-denial. And that part, they're going to come together. And that's going to come from Romans. People going to wonder, how are you driving and still able to teach? Years of practice without even crashing. Or all I like to say is, Jesus take the wheel. Literally, Jesus take the wheel. So I let Jesus take the wheel. So now, the minded governed by the flesh is hostile to God, and it does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God. Well, don't get mad because y'all ain't talented. I'm driving, I'm still teaching God, I'm still teaching the encouraging word all at the same time, and I'm not even screwing up on my driving. How'd you like me now? Let me read that scripture one more time. This is Romans chapter 8, verse 7 and 8. The mind governs by the flesh is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. So, those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God. And y'all a piece of work. Literally, y'all, we are a piece of work, aren't we? So, I'm putting that back on my charger. So, let's get into it. Romans is talking about how we're in self-denial. That means we're dealing with our flesh. God bless you. Good afternoon. We're dealing with a flesh. We're dealing with our flesh. And in our flesh, we have tendencies to deny there's something wrong with us. That's like us going to the doctor and telling the doctor tells us to come in for a yearly checkup, and we tell the doctor ain't absolutely nothing wrong with us. But the doctor has seen that, oh, you got pink eye. Oh, you got bleeding out the ear. You're bleeding out the ear. Oh, you got stomach pain. You got stomach issue. You got kidney stones. But we sit up here denying there's something not right. We're sitting up here denying there's something wrong with us. There is something wrong with us. And we sitting there in self-denial. We're denying it. What's the cue and idea of denying there is something wrong? If you don't see in our own actions that there's something wrong, if we sit up here, we're doing something in our actions that's not right, especially if it's not godly, why are we sitting up here denying that ain't nothing wrong with me? It's something wrong with them. The common denominator when it comes down to a lot of things happening and a lot of problems is that common denominator is us. We're choosing to point out everybody else's flaws, everybody else's mistakes, while we are conducting and while we're acting in the same way, a certain way that we are. And the fact that we never took time out to actually point out our issues, point out our flaws, point out our denials, point out what's wrong with us, and we know the fact there is something wrong. There is something wrong because we were not conducting, acting in ways that we are acting. What? Because you get molested and raped, all of a sudden you want to be with somebody who's the same sex? Or you'll want to mistreat and abuse every single man or every single woman that comes your way because of what happened to you in your childhood, rather than doing it the right way and actually taking time to heal? We deny that there is an issue that's going on in our spirit and in our minds. We're denying it. We sit here and deny that something's not wrong. We sit here and saying that we're telling people, our family, we telling our friends, we telling our significant others, we telling our spouses, there ain't nothing wrong. But even at to the point how we are conducting and how we acting, there is something wrong. There is something not right. There is something that's being bothersome to you in your spirit, and you have not addressed it. Even if it's issues that are old, we are denying it and have not addressed the issue at hand. The root issue at hand. Oh, devil trying to get me. We denying the root issue that is at hand. We sit here denying it because what? I don't want such and such to get in trouble. I don't want this to happen to him. I don't want that to happen to him. I don't want to look like no snitch. But it's affecting us spiritually. And we taking that on the next person. Self-denial. That means when you self-deny yourself that is something wrong or something that needs to be worked on and there's an issue that needs to be fixed, that is bothering you, that is hindering you, that is keeping you from moving forward in your life, it needs to be addressed immediately. We gotta learn how to get on 4 knees, and we need to pray to God and ask God, there is something wrong with me. I cannot serve you. I cannot do your will. I can't live right. I can't treat people right the way they want to be treated because of the fact that there is a issue at the root. There's a problem, and we need to get to the root of the problem right now. We need to get to the problem of it right now. Stop beating around the bush. Stop denying there's something wrong, because we sit up here and we brushing it under the rug, thinking that this problem is not going to be a hindrance in our lives, and the fact that it is going to be a hindrance in our lives because we're denying it. 1. 2, we're not willing to address it. 3, we're not willing to talk about it. 4, we're not getting to the point when we get talked about it, we're not taking that time to heal to ourselves before we do damage to somebody else. Or we want to do somebody any kind of way we want to and think it's all Gucci and cool, but at the same time, we do the things that we do because there's a root issue and problem that's deep within us that needs to be addressed. So we can't sit here and continue to deny there's nothing wrong with us. Can't deny that there is a problem. Excuse me a second. No, thank you. Can I get 2 chicken bite boxes?
Okay. What's the sauce for your chicken bite boxes?
Both of them honey mustard.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
$4.28.
Thank you. Hey, I gotta get something to eat. I gotta work. Gotta eat. Anywho, so we're sitting up here denying that there's something wrong with us. That's like walking around with a broke leg and trying to say, ain't nothing wrong with me. My leg is just fine. When in fact you're limping and you're dragging your leg through the Midwest of the day because your leg is broken. Your leg, you sprained your ankle, you broke your leg, you did something. So, being in self-denial is the fact that it refuses to obey God's law. And it cannot obey God's law. That's when we have to feed one more than the other. The one that fed the most is the one that's most likely going to win. So if we're constantly feeding our fleshy desires and wants, the flesh is going to constantly win 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times. But when we pumping up and we feeding our spirit, the spirit is going to overrun the own flesh. But we keep denying there's nothing wrong with us. Ever thought that sometimes how we act and how we conduct ourselves, there's a root problem to it that we need to find out what? It's just like a plant. It's just like a tree. In order for that tree to stand, in order for that tree to be able to hold up, it had to be rooted and grounded in the ground. Am I right? So, for the plant to stay still, it has to grow roots. So for a problem to manifest in our life, a negative problem to manifest in our life, guess what? It had to take root and stay root. It had to be rooted into the ground. So that means it was rooted into our spirits and it was rooted into our minds. That that problem is an issue. So we're denying. We're pushing things to the side, acting like ain't nothing going on. Why? Because we don't want to face our problems. We don't want to face our demons. We want to go around thinking everything's fine when nothing is going right. Y'all give me a second. I gotta get some food for lunch. Hold on. So, when we get in time, you know how it is. When we get in that time, we have to pull out the plants that's growing out of the ground and we put them in a pot, or vice versa. Guess what goes along with it? We have to pluck it up. And that's what we got to do. We got to pluck up our problems. We got to pluck up that root denial issue. We got to pluck it up out of the ground. We got to pluck it up out of the spirit, out of our spirits, because otherwise, if we don't, it's just going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to become a problem. Because that growing that's coming out of, that's the weeds. That's sucking up all the nutrients and all the, that's like a leech. When we grab a leech and that leech it's clamping on and sucking all the blood out of us. That's what we letting our situation, letting our issues and our denial of problems doing to us. We allowing it to attach on and suck the life out of us to the point we refuse to fight, and we get to the point we say rather than trying to resolve the issue, we're fighting just to deny there's an issue. And that's to the point we see the leech, we see it trying to suck the life out of you, but guess what it's doing? It's getting to the point that it's making you weaker and weaker and weaker to a point that you won't put up a fight to get it off of you, to get it detached from you, to get it uprooted out of you. But now that the problem is being officially addressed and pointed out, guess what happens next? Now it's time to uproot it. We're uprooting our problems. We're uprooting the things that's a hindrance. We're uprooting the things that's bothering us. We're uprooting the things that's getting on our nerves and making us feel so negative and keeping us from progressing in our lives. Now, guess what? Now the healing comes into play. The healing comes into play. That means we sit back. The problem has been addressed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to heal. It is literally time to heal. Now that the problem has been uprooted and has been addressed, guess what it's time to do? It's time to heal. Some people may don't like it. Some people may don't understand why we got to sit to ourselves for a season and be to ourselves. It's for us to heal. God bless you for joining. Sorry for not acknowledging everyone that's coming in, but usually when I get in the rhythm and beat, I don't want to stop and acknowledge. I stop and acknowledge when I get that opportunity and time. So I do apologize, but I do acknowledge I see everyone y'all coming in. Y'all taking time out of your busy schedule just to hear this encouraging word. So if we have a problem, if there's a deep-rooted problem that's in you that you feel that is hindering you from doing what God has called you to do, that is hindering you from, devil. Try to knock my doggone thing down. Sorry, y'all. Give me a second. It don't knock my coaster down. It's trying to keep me from getting this message right. When I teach, they call me EJ Styles and get lost. Sorry about that, y'all. I never expect that to happen. So now that issues are being addressed, and now we get to the point that we often feel so alone, because a lot of times we begin to really point out and we really begin to find out if this person really is these situations and being a leech, being the weeds that's sucking up all the nutrients and important environments that goes into plants. Why do I got to sit by myself? Why I feel alone in this situation? We're not alone. God is always there, but we have to first be able to address the issue. We got to stop denying there's nothing wrong there. We got to stop denying that there's no issue there. But then when you're not really able to give your full heart into the praise and give your full heart into a commitment and give your all to God, you're like wondering, is this the best I can do? What's hindering me? What is preventing me from having that healthy, successful relationship that will turn into something more? What is hindering me from having that successful for business? What is the hindrance? What is the freaking problem? These are things that have to be addressed. When you begin to see that something changing about you, there's something going on in you. Don't blame somebody else. Don't blame somebody else. Thank you. Don't blame somebody else, because a lot of times we often in our ways express there's a deep-rooted problem in our own way, whether we know it or not. But it's up to us to either have it addressed, or we're going to keep denying that it don't need to be addressed. Or it's to a point of, oh, you may don't understand. Well, if you're choosing to have people around you, or you choosing to have this particular person in your life, how can you expect them to get an understanding if you're not willing to tell them? Why are you willing not to tell them? Why you're not willing to be open about it? Why are we denying that there's no longer an issue? We want somebody in, but we refuse to open up. We won't help, but we choose. Part of asking for help, part of wanting help, is being willing to be open to receive. I like the saying goes, you can't speak and receive a blessing if your hands are closed and your mouth is shut. How can you speak it and how can you receive it when your mouth and your hands are closed? So how can your issues be removed if you don't address it and be open to receive the blessing, receive the answers that we've been seeking for a long time? That unforgiveness that needs to get out, that holding a grudge that needs to get out. We're holding it in, we're keeping it in because we refuse to let go. We refuse to hold it over somebody's head. We refuse to do all these things that prevents us from moving forward in our lives. And wondering why I'm moving forward, but you're really not moving forward. You're still stuck in neutral. You're still stuck on park. You're still stuck on neutral. You're trying to figure out what the heck I need to do to get loose. What the heck I need to do to break free? What the heck I gotta do to break these chains? To break loose, to be free and break some chains is first addressing and acknowledging there is something wrong. When we acknowledge and say there's something wrong with us, guess what the next part? Being open to receive the help. Next step, after receiving the help, guess what? The healing comes into play. Once all these three things, the first two things happen, guess what comes in the process? The healing. But you can't receive, you can't heal, we can't recover if we're not willing to address and acknowledge there is something wrong. You can't receive and you can't heal if you're not willing to address that there is something wrong. There's a lot of us who's in denial. There's a lot of us that's holding so much back and refusing to be open, but expecting somebody to understand. Nobody can understand if you're holding back. Nobody can help you if you're not willing to be helped. You can't heal if you're not willing to be open and be willing to receive the help. So that's why them two scriptures come hand in hand. We deny ourselves. We deny their issues. We won't get the healing. We deny that there's something wrong. We won't be able to recover. We won't be able to move forward. We gotta stop denying that there's something there. We gotta stop denying that there is nothing wrong, when in the fact there is something wrong. When we know and we feel that something wrong, and we know and we feel that something is hindering us from moving forward, hindering us from giving our all to God, it has to be addressed, no matter how big or how small it is, no matter how bothersome it is. First, the denial has to stop. Second, when the denial stops, the healing process begins. Stop the denial, open up, receive the help, receive the healing. Sit back and then the recovery begins. So, Well, okay. I'm going to wrap this up with this. Every day, on a daily basis, we have to do this every day. Is there something wrong with me? We have to do a self-evaluation. We have to ask God, is there a root problem? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something I need to work on me? I need to change for the better and not for the worse. When we begin to acknowledge, there's no more denial. When we begin to go through, receive the help, we're open to be helped. And when we begin to receive the healing process begins, and our healing and recovery process will truly begin. Stop denying that there is something wrong. Stop thinking that the behavior and how we conduct ourselves, especially when it's in a negative way, is okay. We got to stop being a bunch of leeches and leeching on to negative people or a negative situation, or in the fact of, I'm gonna say it like this: stop treating people with the negativity. Stop misusing and abusing people. We got to stop leeching on to these people, because in the day we have to get our own blessing. We have to have our own relationship with God. People are only there willing to help if you're willing to be open and to receive the help. But first, we have to acknowledge and stop denying that there's something not wrong. We have to stop and we have to acknowledge that there is something wrong and something needs to change, move, shift, and a change. There is a move, a shift, and a change coming into a lot of people's lives. Even if they're not on the live, even to the people who are speaking, there is a move, a shift, and a changing coming. And everything's going to work out in its due season. But otherwise, please just be patient, be open to receive, and be open to the healing. Well, this is your one and only Facebook minister, Minister Eric Robinson Jr. That was the heart talk that we have today. Normally and rarely I don't do them on Sundays, but if something this usually just set on my spirit that got to come out, it's going to come out. But I gotta go clock in work. But I had to come over here and be obedient and let people know it's time to stop denying that there is something wrong and go through a healing process. When the things are being addressed, it's time for the healing to begin. I always wrap my sister saying, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for tuning in. I thank you for the hearts, likes, shares, and comments. Please share this message, because I know there'll be a lot of people who kind of denies that they're not going through something or there's something not wrong with them. Y'all have a God bless morning, afternoon, evening, and night. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Peace.